NATO supporters are now bragging that they are sending pregnant Ukrainian women to fight in a war. The New York Times wrote a piece highlighting the bravery and the sacrifice of pregnant Ukrainian women who are fighting on behalf of NATO. Liberals are completely sick in the head. They are actually celebrating pregnant women being sent to war under the guise of progress. Western feminism is completely garbage, man. Any man who sends his daughter out to die in war is a complete failure of a human being. But to be fair, there's a good chance that her father was already drafted and sent to the front lines to fight and die for NATO. What are we even doing here? The Ukrainian forces are suffering from a massive manpower problem, which is why they never stood a chance to defeat Russia in the first place. We had an entire generation of Ukrainians who have been wiped out in a war they never stood a chance in because NATO used them as pawns in order to weaken Russia and boost the profits of arm manufacturers. There should be way more outrage at this. 1.7 million dead Ukrainians, pregnant women fighting on the front lines, and for what? To protect the dignity of NATO and their ability to expand infinitely? Poll after poll shows that Ukrainians want to end this war. Meanwhile, NATO refused to allow that to happen because people like Lindsey Graham, Mark Rutte, Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron have pledged to fight to the last Ukrainian. I really hope that Taiwan is paying attention to what is happening to Ukraine. If you allow yourself to be used as a proxy by the West, that is a death sentence. The Democratic Party is forced to confront their Zionism problem at the Democratic National Convention as the party reaches historic unpopularity. At the Democratic National Convention, the party will be voting on a resolution on how the party will handle the genocide in Gaza. One resolution, supported by the younger, more progressive side of the Democratic Party, is calling for a full-on arms embargo on the state of Israel as they commit their genocide. The other resolution, supported by Ken Martin and the Democratic Party establishment, calls for a ceasefire and the release of the hostages, but does not call for an arms embargo on a state committing a genocide. Calling for a ceasefire is fucking pointless when you continue to send weapons to one side who refuses to support a ceasefire. These establishment Democrats are deeply unserious, and these calls for a ceasefire, while they are still sending Israel weapons, is just a stalling tactic so Israel can finish the job. And this resolution is causing a ton of tension within the party. I think Democratic Party leaders have no idea how much the issue of Gaza has completely destroyed their party. Exit poll after exit poll shows that the genocide in Gaza was the number one reason why previous Biden voters refused to vote for Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party is still doubling down on their Zionism. Personally, I find the genocidal Democratic Party to be completely irredeemable. I don't give a fuck about any resolutions or reforms. I want to see the Democratic Party destroyed.
What's poppin'? My friends, my family, welcome back. The streak continues. You guys know I'm always in the lab cooking. And we're going to discuss both these stories today. By the way, we have an update on this story. Of course, the Democratic Party blocked a resolution calling for an arms embargo. And there are a lot of sweet summer children who I'm trying to save their time, my friend. We know how the story ends. There are a lot of these progressives who don't trust us, who think that we're just trying to help the Republicans win, who still believe that the Democratic Party is on their side. Bless their heart. They don't realize that they will never, ever change the Democratic Party from their Zionist position. Now, more than ever, I find these attempts to reform the Democratic Party deeply disturbing and gross by anyone who calls himself a progressive, because now is the time, more than ever, for us to attack and destroy this party that is historically unpopular. Name me a better time for an anti-Zionist, anti-capitalist third party to pop up right now. This is the best time for us to organize the masses as people are tuning out of this two-party game. We're not Zoran Mamdani's over here. Our goal isn't to save the Democratic Party. We're not here to bring the Democratic Party back to their working class roots. No, we want them destroyed because of resolutions like these. And I want to bring my friends on today. You guys know I at least have to show you guys those hot spots in the beginning. I want to cover the Ukraine story here a little bit later, but I want to discuss the state of the left, especially with people who still have the delusion that we're going to run within the Democratic Party. So I have a Marxist panel for you guys. I have my friends at Midwestern Marx, Eddie Liger, Noah, and my friend Carlos. We got a Marxist panel for you guys for Nick at Primetime tonight. What's popping, my friends?
Not much. Thanks for having us, man. A lot going on right now.
Yeah, I want you guys' reaction to that because the Democratic Party is hemorrhaging support, and they are failing to register voters. And now there's this massive panic. They're struggling to raise money. And this is why I think this is a great time for the RBN community. The same with RBN with Worker Strike Back. The same with RBN with ACP and Midwestern Marx to really brainstorm a way to organize this discontent we're seeing with the American workers to a real movement. So I want to give you guys take. We can start with Eddie because he was the first one to chime in. We go Eddie and then we go around to Noah, Carlos. What's your guys' thoughts on the state of left? How can we utilize this anti-Zionist movement, this new acknowledgement that Israel is our enemy and that the Democratic Party is now friends? What is the vision that you guys have at ACP? I'll start with Eddie first.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is a divide both on the left and right that is a generational divide, among other things. And it's kind of splitting the left and right over the issue of Israel. On the left, more and more people are seeing that the Democratic Party is just a Zionist party through and through. That's what they've always been. They're captured by the Zionist lobby and by Zionism as an ideology, and they're realizing, like you said, the Democratic Party needs to be destroyed. It cannot be reformed. And then you're also seeing that on the right, which is very interesting, and probably a little bit more dangerous with the rise of this like blatant white nationalist, like JQ ideology that I know like our friend Jake Shields flirts with. You and I both had a conversation with him. I think that's the future of the right more so than the establishment conservatives. And it just shows the state of the times that we're in. People are struggling to pay for groceries while all of our money is being sent to these imperialist wars they want an end. Now, our job, I think, is to make sure that people go to the communist revolutionary side rather than the fascist fake revolutionary side. The socialism of fools is what they call it. Because ultimately what those guys are calling for is a race war when it's in the interest of all Americans to fight a class war. So, Carlos can talk a little bit more about this through our education programs, but the main goal is to get people educated and get them into working class organizations where the working class can actually flex its muscle and start gaining some power in this country and preparing for, maybe an eventual collapse of our state apparatus as a whole as it continues to lose legitimacy.
I think this is what the left needs to do because you had a conversation with Jake Shields as well. And the weak, ineffective left are the people who are afraid to have these conversations, who avoid having these conversations. To me, there's nothing more ineffective when I see these white leftists, when they say, I will never talk to my racist family member. You're clearly not doing your job then. It's supposed to be your job, not my job. Your job is to have conversation with these folks. But I do anyway, because I think if you're a communist and you're a socialist and you're so worried about you can't talk to certain people because they're icky. Like how, are you really a socialist or communist? You were afraid to sell your ideas, and a lot of people thought I went on there because I was approval of Jake Shields' ideas, and it was I barely knew the guy's politics. He invited me on the show because he wanted to have a black radical on, and I could get it. Like, I guess this guy must be far right crazy. He is kind of far right, but I went on the show and I made an argument on why we should defund the police. I made an argument to him. Like if you look at historically, and you made a great point, Eddie. And then we can go around the panel because we already started off pretty strong. They believe that they should organize based on race. That's the safest thing to do. But historically, that has been proven to be ineffective. Historically, when you look at the vast majority of human history, because people are tribal, we still have a lot of animalistic traits where we recognize the people who look like us are the most safest among us, which is why communists and socialists, we are the ones who want to advance society into the future. Like, fucking overcome your animalistic instincts, white supremacists, and like that's animalistic to only want to be around other people who look like you. That's what most humanity has done for a long time, and the ruling class took advantage of people because of that. They will take advantage of people's religion. They will separate people by religion, separate people by race, and the ruling class will take advantage of that. Do you guys agree? I don't want.
Yeah,
there's a lot of content already by Noah.
They drive me crazy, right? Because they have this whole like big like fake narrative that like Jews are somehow in all the halls of power, and if only we replace them with the nice white Christian guys, and everything's going to be crazy. This is stupid. Even if it were true that the ruling class are all Jewish, which it's not. I mean, we could go for days listing names like Ford and Morgan and Chase.
I hate when they do that because they try to erase the complicity that their ancestors in that white America had, because it's a team job, guys. Like, they are working together. So a lot of these people who are essentially white Zionists, they want exactly what they have in Israel. They whitewash the crimes of white America by blaming the Jews. It's so transparent to me. But sorry, Noah, please continue, man. You're spitting, man.
Exactly
Sorry,
what they want. They're just white Christian or fake Christian Netanyahus, right? They want Zionism, but for them, and it's. Even if they were correct about like who is in power and who isn't, it wouldn't matter, because changing who it is, all that does, or who's in charge, all that does is prolong this merry-go-round of a conflict. Only communists are saying, no, we need to destroy this entire system and build something new in its place, because it's the system that produces the people in charge, right? It always, always, always comes down to communism or fascism.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and as these establishment parties are fading from popularity and losing their legitimacy, which is only going to continue as the crises deepen, that's going to be the choice people are confronted with. And when you have like a whole Zionist psyop propping up the white nationalists, it should be obvious which choice is the only reasonable one, right? Like, which choice actually contains real solutions to problems. And for a long time, I'll be real with you, Nick, like, that wasn't the left, right? The left of the previous decades failed. Absolutely. It failed us, and we need to admit that it failed us, rather than just like jerking off like all these old boomers that not only left us with nothing, but destroyed what they were given, and then left us with less than nothing. So we're here building from scratch, right? With crises not just on the way, but here. I mean, 78% of Americans are paycheck to paycheck right now. Yeah. What is it? 2% are organized just on the labor level. I mean, we need to get serious and get organized right effing now. And the reason there's a new left rising in America is because people are looking around and realizing that it's all falling on our shoulders. If we don't do it, nobody else is going to. I don't know.
Very well said, Noah. It annoys me. I said it many times recently that these white-haired leftists who fail to accomplish anything, they still wag their finger. Like, there's at least these academics as well who wag their finger, even though they fail to accomplish anything. If I'm 60 years old, guys, 70 years old, and we don't have any sort of revolution, there's no victories tangible that I can point to that I gained for the working class, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to jump in front of the next generation and pretend I know it all. That's the entirety of the old school DSA, Bernie Sanders, Cornel West style left. Failed to accomplish anything, but then when they see any sort of uprising movement, they have 1,000 criticisms. They always have to explain why it's
woodwork to criticize you guys, to criticize us, and it's like, what standing do you have to criticize anybody? You built nothing. You accomplished nothing. Where are your victories? Do we have the largest protest demonstration in American history on their watch? Nothing changed. Well, we get a street named after George Floyd. So the fuck what? I'm sorry to swear. So what? I don't care. I don't give a shit about streets. Okay. I need real material change for the working class, for the proletariat. That's who we actually stand for and fight for. And if you're not in it to do that, get the fuck out of our way. I'm sorry I'm in such a like fired up mood tonight, man, but sorry, I'm just heated.
Yeah, that's Donald Trump in a nutshell. Donald Trump is building nothing for the working class. Like China, they have all these amazing infrastructure projects that they have planned. They have all these programs that are uplifting people out of poverty. You want to know what Trump is focusing on? He tweeting about how he saved Christopher Columbus Day. He tweeted about Cracker Barrel. That's the picture you get from the American president. As China is building, lifting people out of poverty, Donald Trump is tweeting about fucking Cracker Barrel. But Carlos, I know you want to chime in. I'll get you in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go after Noah after he used so many elaborate examples and metaphors of what's being done to older generations. But I think when it comes to the right wing, one of the things that Marxism teaches us is that fetishism is something that happens objectively in capitalist society. It has a real material basis. The abstractions that it operates with are not just at the level of the mind, but they exist at the level of how we think as a reflection of the fact that they exist pervasively in all society. And what you get with the right wing is the archetype of that fetishistic thinking, because when you say, no, it's just Jews, you're looking at a specific entity and you're completely ignoring the relationships that entity is premised on. And that's what fetishism is looking at things and seeing in it inscribed qualities that are premised on the relations that are the conditions for the possibility of that thing, but that you're just saying, no, it's that thing. And what brings the power of these various individuals that they're trying to claim are in those positions and have those capabilities because they're Jews, what gives them that power is not the fact that they're Jews. What gives them that power is the fact that they're the personifications of capital, that they play a specific role in the ruling system. And if not them, someone else would play that role. And when it comes to the left, I struggle to even call it a left. I don't think we've had a left since perhaps the aftermath of the civil rights political revolution in this country. I think the last real left in America were the Black Panther Party. Because what's a left? To have a left is to have a sovereign political line that actually is able to express itself and have a certain degree of force, of sovereign authority that it puts into the existing political horizon. We have not had that since the Black Panthers, because everything else that has came after that has been tied at the hips to the Democrats. It's never exerted any power out of its own volition. It's never had any authority out of its own political positions as a left. So we have seriously had no left. What we have now and what we're trying to build with the ACP and with other comrades who are trying to do the same is to have institutions that could serve as the foundation to have something like a left in the future. But we haven't had a left in a very long time, because things like DSA or even the old, now liquidated Communist Party, they have all been tied at the hip to the Democrats. When it comes down to what positions are you going to take on the most important political issues that are arising before you, it's always whatever the Democrats say, because they, in their eyes, are worse than the Republicans.
Yeah, their lesser to evil argument is inherently conservative, because they are making the argument that we shouldn't take a risk for revolutionary reforms out of a fear that the right wing may rise in response. So what is the historical use of what it means to be on the left and the right? I know a lot of people are like, Nick, why you always use these terms? Because I study history, and these terms actually have meaning. They actually have historical meaning, and a lot of Americans have been dumbed down. Political discourse is so bullshit. People really think that there's not a real left-right divide. People are like, oh, that's just made up. No, it's real, guys. Let me tell you if you don't know. You guys know at the earliest historical example that I know of, that I would say I know of, because if there's an earlier example of this, I will be staying corrected. But for my research, the earliest use of the left-right paragram was during the French Revolution, where the people who supported the revolution was on the left. Then you had a large amount of people who was part of the rural community. Most of France was farmers, peasants back then, around 85 to 90%. A large amount of those people, around 60% or so, supported the monarchy because around 400 years ago, there wasn't any separation between state and the church, where you had the church that was closely tied to the French monarchy and royal family. So there were many peasants who believed that the ruling class of France was literally chosen by God. Like the French king was chosen by God. Now you look at MAGA and Trump, you see a lot of MAGA people who openly admit at Trump rallies that they view Donald Trump as someone who was elected and someone who was chosen by God. So you understand when you study history, you see a lot of these parallels. So who was people on the right back then? The people on the right was these peasants who was counter-revolutionary and supported the monarch. They supported upholding conservative values, upholding previous principles of the society. That is what it means to be on the right. The leftists was the revolutionaries. So guys, when I tell you guys that DSA is factually a right-wing organization, when I tell you guys that Bernie Sanders is a right-wing politician, people look at me like they're crazy because they don't know shit about history. Historically, when you look at the terms, Bernie Sanders is on the right because he is focused on upholding and conserving the principles of the United States instead of appealing and calling for a revolution. So what we are calling for as true leftists, looking at this system of capitalism, this system of Zionism, we are calling for a revolution of this system. We're not looking for just small reforms. We're not looking to conserve this system. We're looking for vast revolutionary change where it puts us on the left. And if you're part of the Democratic Party in any apparatus at all, you are on the right. Now, I know this sounds obvious to us after me laying out like this, but people think I'm crazy. Like people think we're crazy whenever I say, hey man, you're on the right if you still support Bernie Sanders. You're not on the left if you support a pro-genocidal party. But Noah and Eddie, I see you muted. Do you guys want to chime in before I can move on to some receipts as well? Do you guys have anything else you want to add? I can continue ranting all day, but I won't get you guys in here.
No, just real quick. The other historical event they should study is Germany during the rise of the Nazis, because that's where this term social fascist comes from, and Ernst Thälmann, because the Social Democrats of the time, the reformists, ended up siding with the Nazis. They gave away the location of Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht to right-wing forces or right-wing elements of the German Freikorps. They tried to, fight fascism at the ballot box when the communists wanted like a popular front against it. And they were the ones who allowed the rise of fascism in Germany. It was the people like DSA, these soft reformists who ended up, being a stepping stone, essentially, or creating the conditions for the Nazis to come to power. So that's the exact same role. We were just talking about how we're in a revolutionary situation today, and DSA is playing a very similar role.
Look, I mean, Eddie's 1,000% correct here. In Marxism, we have a phrase, the dialectic of universal and particular, right? So in formal logic, you think, oh, a particular thing is something that isn't universal and vice versa. But for Marxism, in dealing in contradictions, it's always both at the same time, right? Something is universal because it proves itself as universal through many different particular forms. So when you see our form of left wing rising now in the mid 2020s, it's got different characteristics, right? We are communists rather than French Republicans, that kind of thing. But I'm noticing that we're seeing this like really because of the era and the revolutionary era we're in, I think. We're seeing almost a convergence of these social fascists and the outright fascists. Like, look at like the people that are going crazy against the American Communist Party, right? It's Groypers and DSA /Trotskyist / every other anti-communist leftist, right? I mean, materially speaking, this is a right-wing force converging and becoming one thing right now, like in front of our eyes. They're all high-fiving each other like, yeah, we all hate the ACP. Like,
And think about Noah. In the historical example I gave during talking about the revolutionary struggle against the right wing, why did many people oppose the French revolutionaries? Because they was inherently distrustful of them. They viewed that they might be opportunists who want to do everything it takes to take power. So what does it say? Because I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, I see so many DSA accounts. They will fucking outright retweet a groper attacking us. Like you will see the true red-brown alliance whenever you see
Right.
us go after white supremacists, and then you would see DSA nerds joining the dogpile. That's the same thing that people did in the French Revolution. This distrust. Oh yeah, I don't like the monarchy. I got some disagreement with the monarchy, but these French revolutions, they're grifters. Like this is the mentality they have, right, Noah?
Napoleon's the lesser evil. Yo, look. I'll be quick because I know you want to move on. Look at their influencers, right? The guy who embodies the DSA, Pan Lep, whatever you want to call it, they're really these right wingers, is Hasan Piker, right? This guy, this bourgeois guy who's never worked a day in his effing life, by the way, just gets hosed down by mainstream media. He's working with CNN. He's in GQ, all this stuff. And how does that mainstream media treat genuine revolutionaries? It either attacks them or ignores them, right? And we've gotten both treatments. So you have to look at the actual class character of the forces involved. All these like anti-communist leftists are the fading middle class, and they're being lumpenized. That middle class is being taken away from them. And who was Napoleon's bread and butter? Who were his forces? The lumpen, the people losing their class status, right? Not the working class, not the poor, the lumpen, the criminals that lost it all.
We're gonna get to Hasan Piker here very soon, so keep if you have any thoughts, hold it for just 1 second, because I'm gonna show you guys why there's a very coordinated effort to try to save this dying Democratic Party, and Hasan Piker plays a very big part of this. But I'm gonna start here because we covered first. Hold that thought because we're gonna get to him during this presentation. Now, this is the reason why, and I've been very open about my thought process over the last year because I'm always in the lab cooking. I'm always brainstorming. This is what I do. Like, how can we take advantage of this momentum? I was thinking like whether Trump won last election, if Kamala won, I'll be like, all right, how can we take advantage of this? Like that's why I'm always thinking that. Right now, and I've been covering this issue of Israel, Gaza, the Palestinian struggle ever since my time as a citizen journalist. I would say that was one of the things that even launched me to do this. It was one of the topics you would see me talk about years and years and years ago. So as someone who's been covering this for years, even way before October 7th, to see polls like this is wild, man. 32% in the United States backs Israel action in Gaza, a new low. Now, we explained many times before, it doesn't matter what you ask Americans. You can ask Americans, do you approve of kittens? And there would be 30% that would say, fuck kittens. That's the reality. Like, the amount of Americans who support Medicare for all, single-payer healthcare, is around 65 to 30%. Then 5% unsure. There's always these 30% reactionary forces that must be defeated. You can't be upset over that. You just know that these numbers have to be defeated. So when I see 30% is supporting of Israel genocide, this is a historic opportunity. There's other coverage. There's so many different polls that show this. Majority of Americans disapprove of U.S.-Israel military alliance. You guys realize what that says? This poll in particular is not even asking about the war in Gaza. They're like, hey man, what about our alliance with Israel? And 60% of Americans like, the fuck did that have to do with me? So do you guys see this amazing opportunity that RBN, the ACP, Worker Strike Back, and all the anti-Zionist organizations that I've talked to and many, many more out there, we're in a unique position. This is why it's strange to me that there's so many people on the left who spend their time, oh man, I want to tear down the ACP. I want to tear down RBN. I want to tear down this person who works outside of duopoly, who is building their own anti-Zionist party, instead of taking advantage of this crazy moment. Like, guys, I see accounts that they spend their entire time attacking the ACP instead of taking advantage of this moment of rising anti-Zionism in the American people. Is there any reaction to these polls? Have you guys seen the same thing among people your age, around people you're around? Because I know people in my life who are apolitical as fuck. My family is famously apolitical. I tell you guys this all the time. Bro, there's not a single motherfucker in my family who fucks with Israel now. And I love it, bro. This shit's great. They see my hotspot videos too. I'm not gonna lie, I have a little bit of influence on them now, which is weird because I never did. But now they see how hard I go on Israel. I promise God, there's not a single motherfucker. Even my mom, my famously apolitical mom, was like, nigga, I don't like this Israel. They gone too far. But Eddie, I saw you on mute. You feel free. We pretty much talking about what do you guys see the same thing on the ground? Because this is just data. Do you guys see the same thing on the ground, Eddie?
Absolutely. I see it, especially with the younger generations, but even the older generations are turning against Israel. Like my parents as well. I remember when October 7th happened, I asked my parents if they had seen it, and my mom was like, oh yeah, it looks like there's a lot of violence on both sides. And I sent her about a whole novel after that. But then they watched a movie on it. They looked into it, and now they're completely anti-Israel. They realize it's an artificially constructed, genocidal ethno-state on top of Arab land. And since October 7th, their position has completely changed from, and my mom was raised, in the evangelical Christian church at a time when a bunch of Zionist money was being pumped into it. And my grandfather was a pastor, and she was taught, always support Israel, unconditionally support Israel. But after looking at the facts and after seeing with her eyes what they're doing to children and women and Christians and Muslims alike, she's completely turned against them. And the younger generation even more so. They're, and with the younger ones, it's a matter of, can we get them to turn to communism, or are they going to turn to fascism, JQ bullshit? But everybody's turning against Israel. It's like, they say the one crime that society will punish pretty much every time is when you harm children. If you harm children, when you go to prison, they're going to beat the shit out of you. Or even if you get let off, the community is going to find you and beat the shit out of you and maybe kill you. And everybody's seeing Israel massacre children in front of their parents, and there's a certain human element to that people seem to not be able to look away from. And it's pushing them in a positive political direction in most ways.
You have Benjamin Netanyahu, who he recently said how we have to censor the internet. He was calling for mass censorship because of the blood libel spread against the Jews. You guys know how much in shambles they have to be to outwardly expose themselves like that. But no, I saw you on mute. Do you want to chime in?
I just prefer to stay unmuted. I can, but I feel like Carlos has been real quiet.
Carlos, you have anything you want to add before I move on?
Well, I mean, the main thing is that I want to remind people of something that Lenin always said, which is that revolution is a civil war. So don't be afraid of the fact that there's still 30% of people that are in that mindset. That's probably as good as it's going to get. Maybe it's going to get a little bit better. But revolution is a civil war, and that's why concepts like the dictatorship of the proletariat are necessary, because the day after the revolution, you're still going to have a whole lot of people that are going to be in the class that's going to be privileged by the revolution, but who have these false ideas that they have inherited from the old order that identify them with their exploiters. This sort of that syndrome where you fall in love with your kidnapper. Stockholm syndrome, right? They have Stockholm syndrome for the capitalist class. And that's at 30%. And you need a dictatorship of the proletariat, because it's not just going to be the capitalists, a very small part of society that tries to overthrow the revolution that you've had, but it's going to be their goons, the people that accepted their ideas and that still do in the aftermath of the revolution. And they're going to work with any power they can that's friendly to the old order internationally. So if in the U.S. something as that's been as much of a red line for the political class as Zionism is getting pulled that low in terms of favorability, that's, I think, an unprecedented situation. This is something we've been talking about for some years, the crisis of legitimacy that we have in the U.S., the lack of faith in institutions, in the political class, and even the system as a whole. which takes many forms. It takes one form for the MAGA person that's that doesn't believe in the deep state, that wants to squash it, that wants to do all of this. It takes another form and some forms of vague leftists that are separated from the DSA and stuff like that. It takes a form in apolitical people. There's a whole chunk of America. I think it's the largest voting bloc, which literally just doesn't vote. That's a deep commitment to having a non-commitment to the system, right? That's a political position as well. That's saying, why would I even participate if my position cannot have any weight in any of these affairs? So it's an unprecedented degree of a crisis of legitimacy that we have, a crisis of authority. And I think perhaps the nail that breaks the camel's back is going to be this issue with Zionism that has been the untouchable point by the political class. And now people are coming around, because how couldn't you come around? You have cell phones on your pockets and you're seeing a whole genocide live stream for 2.5 years. You know, maybe in the first 6 months you don't see shit. Maybe in the first 6 months you accept the Piers Morgan sort of bullshit narrative that the media feeds you. But at some point, you've seen enough dead and dismembered babies to say, all right, this is bullshit. Maybe I'm being fucking lied to by these people. So, yeah, I think that only shows the tremendous opportunity that we have now to change society. And the biggest enemies that we have are those people that want to divide us at a time when the conditions are more ripe than ever for us to be united across the primary contradictions, the issues of war, empire, poverty, the contradictions that, you know, when MLK started focusing in on them, war, poverty, and racism, that's when he got shot. Those are still, I think, the contradictions of our day, especially war and poverty. And we can unite a whole host of different Americans from different backgrounds that think a million different things on secondary and tertiary issues around these areas.
Look, I'll just be quick, because you asked for examples. I'm a union guy. I'm a tradesman, right? I'm on construction sites all day, every day. And I think it gives me a good, like, sort of look at the American working class as I'm working. And I was with a few of my union brothers last week, and we're building this school. And we're in one of the rooms and we're working. And guy starts talking about, you know, like the most recent video he saw of Zionists murdering children and blah, blah, blah. And an older guy who was actually a flooring guy, like, chimes in from outside, like some BS Zionist propaganda, right? And dude just straight up, like, this isn't urging from me or nothing, went out, closed the door. He was like, sorry, no Zion Nazis allowed in here. Just close the door on him. Like, that's how it is. Like, it's loud and proud now. Like, it's become the mainstream to be anti-Zionist.
Yeah, and despite this, and this is where the fantastic opportunity for us comes from, Democrats are still doubling down on their Zionism. And let's get back to this, because that was a great intro conversation. So I'm going to get through just a little bit of receipts here. Feel free to chime in if you guys have any thoughts. Democrats vote down resolution calling for arms embargo on Israel, recognizing a Palestinian state. So they had two resolutions, and this is their Zionist controlled DNC chair. And he put up a meek resolution that said, hey, man, I don't think we should have an arms embargo on Israel. I think we should call for a ceasefire instead. You should get slapped right in the goddamn face. What is the point of advocating for a ceasefire while you're still sending weapons to Israel? What reason would they have to accept said ceasefire? So it was obviously a bullshit resolution that meant to pull the pro-Palestinian progressive Democrats back on the pro-genocide side. And obviously the progressives who still are attached to the Democratic Party, they are failing to shift this party to the left on this issue. But you want to know what's funny is that they had these two resolutions that were meant to, they're like, all right, let's see which one gets the most vote. So after they defeated the resolution that called for an arms embargo on Israel, Ken Martin then pulled his resolution that called for a ceasefire afterwards. Oh well. That didn't pass. Let's spend some more time and let's think about how we're gonna come together as a party to figure out this issue. Here it is. However, after the more hardline resolution was voted down, remember this is the resolution that was about ending the arms to Israel, the arms embargo. So after that was voted down, Martin announced that he was withdrawing his resolution. So you guys see what they did? In the beginning, they were like, hey guys, we all want to do something about this Israel issue. I think you're a little bit too extreme. So yeah, you calling for an arms embargo. I'm calling for a ceasefire. So then they stopped the arms embargo. He's like, nope, psych. No more ceasefire resolution. So fam, if you are still supporting a Democratic Party that is playing to your face just like this, you are utterly wasting the time of the working class, which is why I despise people like Hasan Piker and DSA who tried to bring people back into this party. So here's Richie Torres. Richie Torres, while he was fighting against an arms embargo, and I want you guys to respond to the story if you have any thoughts. As he was fighting against the left, as he was spreading pro-genocide propaganda, as he was calling people on the left little Hamases, like that's the kind of stuff that him and John Fetterman was doing. He literally invested.
Kind of a compliment.
Yeah, that's base as hell.
Right?
As far as I'm concerned.
I'll be a little Hamas. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick.
No, this is what we do at RBN. We have fun. This is Richard Torres investing in Lockheed Martin and Northrop and made a ton of money as he was supporting the genocide of the Palestinian people. So here's the tweet that while urging Biden to rush bombs to Israel genocide and voting for a $17 billion arms package to an apartheid state, Richard Torres also secretly bought stock in weapon giants like Lockheed, Northrop, the firm supplying Israel's genocide. The trade were nearly filed a year late, far beyond the 45-day deadline under the Stock Act. So this motherfucker was supporting genocide, and he was rushing to profit off of it. And this is not only the entirety of Congress, this is the genocidal Democratic Party apparatus. After seeing stories like this where people are becoming rich supporting genocide, you guys want to reform this party? Like, this is a story that makes me want to see the Democratic Party be utterly destroyed. You have any reaction to the story, guys?
I mean, I agree with you. It shows the corruption at the core. I mean, Richie Torres and John Fetterman, these are two people who have just sold their souls. Very likely, I've never met them, but I imagine they're very narcissistic personality types who, don't really care what anybody thinks of them. They're just chasing the money. But it's, these people are in a social class where everybody else is a wealthy elite Zionist. So they don't even realize or see the rise of anti-Zionism in America. And when they do, they just dismiss it as anti-Semitism and say that we need to combat it. And it reminds me, there's this book by Herbert Marcuse, who's one of these like fake Marxist philosophers, called One Dimensional Man. And basically he makes the argument that there's no class struggle anymore because the working class has the same culture and consciousness as the ruling class. And when I hear that, I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like what Noah was saying, people are constantly turning against Zionism at his workplace. Like I was saying, I see it in my communities all the time, but these people won't even question it. They won't even say, maybe we should push for a little bit, of an Israeli drawback here. This is really bad PR for us. They can't even do the bare minimum, because I don't think they realize how strong the opposition is among regular working class people and regular working class communities. So they're just going right along, collecting their military industrial complex and Zionist lobby paychecks and screaming about fighting anti-Semitism. And they have no idea the revolutionary movement that is brewing under the surface that's going to bust up this establishment social and political class of clowns.
And I think, I'm sorry, Eddie. I keep interrupting tonight.
At this point, to sit there and say we need to try to move the Democratic Party left, or we need to fight in order to make the Democratic Party a progressive party, is little different than sitting there in 1940s Germany and saying, we need to really get this National Socialist Workers Party and move it a little bit to the left. What the fuck are you talking about? It's a fucking fascist party. There's nothing more fascist than a genocide. It's not only sponsoring it, it's not only giving the thumbs up for it, it's giving the weapons for it. It's helping it. It's covering for it. It's helping it internationally. It's it's the foundation of the genocide. It's just that Israel's the gun that's being pulled, but the arm that's pressing the trigger is America. So,
Yep.
and the party that has led this has really been both, but the one that led it in the first 2 years after October 7th was the Democratic Party. So if you sit here and you talk either about the Democrats or the Republican or moving them to the left or something like that, of course it's more popular with the Democrats. What the fuck are you talking about? That's like saying let's move the Nazis left. Let's try to push Hitler left. No, it's a fascistic party. It's the cutting edge of fascism. It's the cutting edge of fascism because it supports Zionism, because it supports the fascist state of Ukraine and NATO. And you can't move that to the left because that's inherently as right wing as you can possibly get. That is the system. That is the cutting edge of the system. You can't move the system to the left with the system.
I can't
Yes.
picture, I
Go
can't
on,
picture a more perfect face than Richie Torres for this, as he's literally investing in the bomb makers that are mass slaughtering children, right? Like, look at that face. He's oblivious, like Eddie was saying, of the social revolution brewing in the American people because of what he's doing, making millions by investing in these bomb factories. Well, they're not just factories, giant conglomerates, right? Then using our tax dollars to pay those corporations money, right? And then giving those weapons to the people slaughtering children. All of it is just sucking out our money, giving it to these scumbags and murdering kids. Now, he may not be aware of this yet, but that is a face the people are going to remember. And we're going to remember who is profiting off of this crime against humanity like we haven't seen in our lifetimes. We're going to remember all the Richie Torreses, all the Kamala Harrises, all of them. Everyone.
John Fetterman. Add Fetterman, that
John
piece of shit.
Fetterman. Everyone who went to go kiss that stupid fucking wall and take our money and use it to slaughter children with. I think that, look, I'm going to go off on a whole big rant, but which I don't want to do. So I'll leave it with this. Zionism is the one thing right now that can unite working class Americans and is beginning to wake them up. The way Nick, specifically, you are talking about the people who want to push the Democratic Party left, and then Carlos, it's just like, I can't see them as anything else than in on it at this point. I mean, when did Hasan Piker start pushing the Democrats left? Look, they don't care how much you criticize Israel. They care that you're still voting Democrat and you're still telling your audience to vote Democrat. Oh, they're the lesser evil, guys. No, they're just evil. Sorry.
Yeah, at least Richie Torres has Zoran Mamdani that can help him rehabilitate his image. Can you guys imagine taking a photo with someone who profits off of genocide? Like, even being cordial, I wouldn't be cordial with Richie Torres. If he offered me to shake his hand, I would reject him. Like, I would not shake his hand. I would not shake a single Democrat's hand. Like, if I was ever at Washington, shit would be awkward. Like, then who's this guy? I'm not shaking your fucking hand. Fuck you. I'll spit in your damn hand. And this is why it's so dangerous what these people are doing. These young people like Richie Torres, he's going to face the consequences of his vote forever. Meanwhile, he got some guy who can't even bench 135, who's here to rehabilitate his image.
That's what Washington needs, more weak PMCs, right?
There's a lot of people who've been calling this out too, because this is one of the titles, one of the headlines I put in because I thought this shit was funny, and I kind of pissed because you guys know how I feel about Charlamagne the God. It's like someone you hate saying something funny, and you forced to laugh. You ever been a hater and then someone say something funny, you like, "Oh, that shit ain't funny." Fuck you, Nah, bro, this shit was funny. You guys know I hate this guy. He's a Kamala voter. He's the black guy that Democrats are comfortable with. Like, they're so comfortable with this guy, they gave him like a fucking CNN. He had like some fucking CNN, or was it I may be forgetting that corporate media channel, but they gave him a political talk show. He interviews all the Democrat politicians. They love this guy. But with that said, this motherfucker just boomed Hakeem Jeffries like I've never seen before.
I was
Look at
having the minority speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, because I'm a political nerd. Like I love talking
Charlemagne
politics.
hates him.
You do?
I don't hate him. I just don't think he stands for anything.
Well-
I think that I call him Apex Shakur. Like,
Well,
Bro, that is an absolute banger. Apex Shakur. When I heard this, I was furious that I didn't come up with this. But let's analyze the first 15 seconds here. And I do this particularly as a black leftist. You guys see why I despise the black capitalist class? Why I despise the Breakfast Club in general? Like, I despise celebrity culture. It's one of the things that it's soul crushing to me when I see American working class people buy into this celebrity nonsense. And when you look at the black capitalist class, when you look at the black celebrity class, people like Jay-Z, they were supportive of Hillary Clinton, supportive of Kamala Harris. We have an entire generation of black celebrities who are pro-war neoliberals. The Breakfast Club is a massive cultural hit in the black community. Meanwhile, they have a guest on who's explaining how she loves Hakeem Jeffries. Charlemagne, where do you find these Negroes? I couldn't go outside and find a nigga who likes Hakeem Jeffries. Meanwhile, he has to show you, I like Hakeem Jeffries because I'm a political nerd. Fuck you. This is based on the first article I wrote, how black neoliberalism destroyed our communities. You guys don't have to touch on this if you don't want to. But black neoliberalism destroyed our communities. You have black people shaking their ass for genocide. For what? To elect a fucking cop who locked up black men?
Look,
Charlemagne. I'm sorry. Go ahead, guys.
No, it's a sign of their class character, right?
Yeah.
These guys are PMC to their core. They're middle class. They don't. That's why she says she's a political nerd. For her, it's a hobby. It's playing a video game or watching a
that's a good way
movie,
to put it.
right? It doesn't actually affect her because she's fine. She's well off. She's not like the majority of Americans who got to work for a living.
Very well said.
And the reason why
Go ahead.
it's
Or
hard
no,
to imagine
Carlos,
where the
sorry.
hell it's hard to imagine where the hell Charlemagne is pulling these people from. It's because, like Noah said, it's a class thing. When you go outside, try to find a black person that thinks like that. You won't, because you're going to find regular working class black people. Most of my students are black. I can't say I have found one in all of these years of teaching that would sit there with a straight face and say, I'm a political nerd and I love Hakeem Jeffries. Where the fuck do you find ththese people? You find them in the cocktail parties, the high echelon parties that they all mingle in. That's why we don't find them.
Right?
This is why we created RBN. You guys realize before RBN, there was zero black left representation in the media. You know who they call when they need a black leftist? They call Bree. Brianna. Before RBN, you'll see Brianna Joy Gray. She was the only exception. You may see Nina Turner, but she's a shit lib. Like Nina Turner is like as far fucking left you will ever find, and she's a shit lib as far as I'm concerned. So there was zero representation. Meanwhile, if you turn on CNN, you got these black Zionists in suits. That's not represented. That's why that's why we got together like, hey man, we need to create an alternative media for ourselves. Instead of being just a bitch and complaining about it, because I was being a bitch and complaining about it for a very long time. I was like, instead of just being a complainer, I'm gonna become the change I want to see. I was complaining because there was a lack of black Marxist radical voices. It was something that really bothered me. That's why I started RBN. And that's why we grew these and created these connections with many black creators as well. It's definitely a much better time than it was the bleak age of pre-2020 black and when it comes to the black left. But when it comes to politics, these people are the mainstream. Charlemagne the God is the mainstream. Remember, he was a diehard Kamala Harris voter, and like he will go viral every once in a while for criticizing the Democratic Party, but he will always go back to we gotta support Kamala Harris, we gotta support Democrats. But anyway, let me play the clip again from the beginning. I did interrupt it. Let's continue.
I love having the speaker, minority speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, because you know I'm a political nerd. Like I love talking
Charlemagne
politics.
hates him.
You do?
I don't hate him. I just don't think he stands for anything.
Well-
I think that I call him APAC Shakur. Like,
Well, definitely. We did talk about messaging, and I actually went to the.
We need to talk about messaging. So Charlemagne the God brings up a very valid critique of this person she was just glossing up. How he supports genocide. And her response to that is, yeah, he need to work on his messaging. How can you possibly message that you support bombing children? If anything, I think they're killing the game.
It's
Like, you actually think about it.
Have you ever gotten in like have you ever gotten in
ahead.
like a debate with somebody and they're like clearly like trying to bring up a fake criticism of their side in order to seem objective? That's what
Yeah.
she's doing here.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, oh, the messaging is bad.
Well,
It's
that's
like
what all
when-
the Democrats are doing now. All the Democrats are getting called out on the substance. So you see these people like James
Right.
Carville, is that the guy's name, who are
Yeah.
coming out and
Yeah.
railing against their messaging. Our messaging has been so shit. Our marketing is so shit. And it's like cathartic for them to rant against the Democratic Party. It's like, what about the substance? That's what you're being criticized on. What about what your party actually stands for? He's not criticizing the messaging. He's criticizing the fact that they're a tool of AIPAC.
Mhm.
And that's the cope that Democrats have been saying. They've been driving me crazy. I've been watching a lot of their coverage of them reacting to the Democratic Party hemorrhaging votes. They lost 2 million registered Democrats. You know how cooked you are? I wouldn't, even in my days where I voted for Barack Obama, I was never a registered Democrat. You know, there's a lot of people who vote Democrat who are not registered Democrats. There are a lot of people who vote out of their civilian duty. There are people who just vote and they had to choose the lesser two evil. There are a lot of people who do that, unfortunately. There are not a lot of diehard Democrats. If you lose 2 million people who registered as a Democrat, bro, you are cooked. And the cope that came from the Democratic Party is not because of their support of genocide. It's not because they're deeply anti-worker policies. It's not the fact they're building cop cities all over the country and creating a police state. It's not them teaming up with real estate developers and landlords that made housing unaffordable in blue cities. It's not that. It's that people don't think they're fighting Trump hard enough. I think the American people, they like us, but it's our messaging. They don't think we're fighting. No, it has nothing to do with how you fight Trump. You just suck. But let's continue your answer. This is not a long clip. You got to see. This 40-second clip triggers me 1,000 times. I can't stand watching this show. I don't know how people watch this show, man. This show is a banger. Like, they pull like 500,000 views just for clips. Like, they'll upload a fucking shit post that will get 600,000 views. So, guys, I'm not punching down here. This show is a fucking banger. I will never understand it. This is why black neoliberalism has rotted the minds of our community. I'm sorry. That's the reality.
I don't hate him. I just don't think he stands for anything.
Well-
I think that I call him APAC Shakur. Like,
Well, definitely. We did talk about messaging, and I actually went to the Capitol and had a meeting with him. And we talked about messaging and how I was like, the frustration with the party is y'all have to get more gangster. Like, stop going by the politics of the late 2000s, you know, in 2010. And you have to like rise to the occasion in the messaging. And he did. I saw him do more afterwards.
Hakeem is a puppet. Hakeem's not doing anything if Chuck Schumer don't tell him to do it. And as simple as that.
Bro, there's nothing that annoys me more when this motherfucker makes me laugh, man. That shit fucking.
We gotta be more gangster. We gotta bomb them motherfucking babies. That's what we gotta do. We gotta bomb more motherfucking babies. We ain't bombing enough fucking babies. Is that what you want?
Just keep bombing the babies. Just do it with some swagger.
That's the level of analysis you get when you have zero class analysis, zero theory on your back. This is what happens when you are a millionaire celebrity. Your mom has money. Like, you have no struggle. Like, these black liberals are identical to white liberals. They have the same. They view themselves as like radical. They think they have this edge because they're black liberals, but they're the fucking same as Amy Klobuchar. Like, what's the difference between her policies and Amy Klobuchar? But Eddie, I give you anyone will chime in, and we're gonna get to Hasan Piker next. I know I've been saving this, bro. We have the official roast of Hasan Piker coming up. Eddie Liger, you have anything you want to add?
I just wanted to say it's interesting that you know, with these new forms of media that are propping up and more people are getting their news from the internet, there's also new forms of propaganda that are arising. So now Charlemagne does a show with Andrew Schulz, this comedian who's very popular with young white Americans. And it's like a political show, right? And they're both pushing neoliberalism together. And the ruling class is desperately trying to maintain control of the narrative via the internet and these new forms of technology that are emerging. And it reminds me, what they do with the Black community is similar to what they do with the Cuban American community, like funding athletes to support regime change in Cuba and post stuff on their Instagram, and funding rappers to do it. They try to, sink their claws into each and every community, which is why it's important to have outlets like RBN that give a real sovereign voice to the real left in these different communities across America.
So before I move on, anything else you guys want to add on? We're gonna get to the official roast of Hasan Piker. Noah, Carlos, anything else you want to add?
Let's roast his ass.
All right, I know
Unless
you
you
guys
guys
ready.
got something good.
I'm with Daddy.
So do you guys remember this? We're gonna start here because we are splitting, and you said you see this coalition, and this is a coalition that many people don't want to see happen. There's a coordinated effort to stop people from talking to the ACP, the same way there's a coordinated effort to stop people talking to RBN. Essentially, anyone who advocates for communism, anyone who advocates for Marxism, especially outside of the grasp of the two-party system, you are the number one threat, and they want to keep you separate. They want to keep us separated, and they want to prevent the formation of anti-Zionist third parties. So that's why they need influencers. They need propagandists in order to sheepdog people back to the Democratic Party. Now, this isn't new. Don't get me wrong. We all know this isn't new. Like, TYT existed for a very fucking long time. Majority Report has existed for a very long time. But these shit-lib networks, they are extremely outdated, especially in this age where there's a rise of support of third parties, especially as the Democratic Party, as we just covered, has been completely exposed as a Zionist op who don't care about the working class. Right now, the establishment needs more than ever to find someone to be their Joe Rogan, to be their sheepdog. Do you guys remember these headlines? They must have added the headline on this one. It's so embarrassing to watch Democrats try to find a liberal Joe Rogan. That's funny. I actually had that saved under a different title, so they must have added that. But you had all these. Let me put this one. I'll try to take the ad off of this website here for the New York Post. If I can get this shit to load, Democrats seeking to buy the next Joe Rogan of the Jesus Christ. These websites are horrible, bro. Who actually reads this shit? But what it's supposed to say, there it is. Democrats seeking to buy the next Joe Rogan of the left after the 2024 election. Who's about to chime in, Noah? Sorry, I can't see you.
No,
Noah,
I was just saying, how can you even read it with all those ads everywhere? But like, they've been doing this forever, man. And they fundamentally don't get why Joe Rogan became Joe Rogan, right? Like, he wasn't a Republican Party psyop, which is what they're basically like telegraphing to us that they're trying to do, is get someone to sheepdog people into the Democrats. He was just him, right? That was what it was. That's why people connected with him, because when he was right, when he was wrong, whatever, he was just being him. They don't get that authenticity is what people sort of gravitate towards. Right. And I think it's because they don't have a single authentic bone in their bodies. All of them they're like hollow plastic shells just filled with Democratic Party propaganda inside, you know?
And you know what's crazy about this, guys? It's like the guy that went to the mall to buy skinny jeans the year after they stopped being popular. Like, are these people fucking stupid? Like, Joe Rogan is on a downturn. Every cultural commentary page about comedy, and I know Eddie knows this because we watch the same shit, is talking about how bad Joe Rogan is crashing. Now is when they want their fucking Joe Rogan, when it's clear to everyone that he's just putting out establishment hawk after establishment hawk and deep state monster after deep state monster. Now that Joe Rogan is no longer the Joe Rogan of like 2020, or 2020. Now is when they want their fucking Joe Rogan. It's like the person coming in and asking for fucking skinny jeans once everyone's already moved on from that.
Rogan
Like, we
lost
don't
that
have the McRib
authenticity
anymore, man.
that he used to have. He's lost that in the eyes of the people, and his views and comments are way down and way negative these days.
I'm glad to hear this, man. I ain't gonna lie, I'm glad to hear this. I did the roast with Joe Rogan already. Like I laid into Joe Rogan so many times the same way I'm about to lay into Hasan Piker. I don't know how anyone can listen to it. I used to listen to it. Now let me just close this. I think there's ads popping. I used to listen to Rogan back when it was more of a stoner martial art podcast. Like I don't want to be fucking that edgy hipster, bro. But you guys, I was into Rogan far before he blew up. I remember when he had Charlie Murphy on his show. Back when he was in his garage, it was dark. No, I remember I used to tell my friends about the show. They were like, who? Joe Rogan? Like way before, because he used to have shows where he used to talk about conspiracy theories. He talked about fucking how there's a fucking ruling class that is trying to he used to advocate for socialism, universal healthcare. And Eddie, I think we talked about it before. It's like a whiplash for old Joe Rogan viewers to see where he went since then. But now his show went from like a stoner martial arts show. I remember he used to have GSP on. I remember the show he had Nick Diaz. You guys know I'm a big MMA, especially the Pride days. I was a big fan back then. So I used to just listen to his MMA shows. And I would listen to wherever he have a comedian. Bro, the difference between the show is as wide as the ocean. Now it's a CIA fucking spook podcast where Joe Rogan will bring out some CIA fuck to explain to you why the CIA has done nothing wrong. You know what I mean? That's Joe Rogan in a nutshell now. It's crazy. Already did my roast, but you guys see what they're looking for. They're looking for the Joe Rogan on the left. It is obvious who they picked to perform this role. That's why you seeing Hasan Piker getting these magazine photo shoots. Now, I have a question for you guys. Will you ever see Haas or anyone for the ACP? Will you see anyone who's actually advocating for a third-party movement ever being supported by the establishment like this? He having op-eds being wrote about him on CNN. Look, here's the CNN article. And this is where they gave the game away. Can this Twitch superstar be the left Joe Rogan? So they gave the game away, what they obviously plan to do. So I saw this article. I'm like, oh, let me watch this motherfucker. Because he wasn't really on my radar like that. He attacked us before. I went after him, but he's not on my radar. But ever since this article in particular, bro, there is a clear manufacturer pushing this motherfucker because it's obvious that they're about to use Hasan Piker as a way to revive the Democratic Party. And if you wonder why I'm talking about this, you must understand that Hasan Piker is around 1,000 times more influential than RBN based on numbers. Like, do you guys see the numbers that this man puts up? This man will have 50,000 people watching a stream of his live. Not just after the video, live. He is responsible for the cooked minds we see out of the DSA. Do you guys see that long line that came out of DSA who won his autograph? A bunch of socialist celebrity worshiping a millionaire. And that's why they are popping him up. Because he's there to give comeback interviews to Zionists like Matt Duss, Bernie Sanders, AOC, and now he's being featured on the Rolling Stone. So before I continue, I want to get you guys into this. Look, what is your reaction to this? Why would they ever prop up someone who other people refer to as, I would never refer to him as this, but people call him a socialist. People call him a revolutionary. Meanwhile, he's being propped up by Rolling Stone. Any thoughts?
I think Carlos will talk about this more, but it's almost like the highest form of anti-communism. It's to take young people who are almost there, who are almost revolutionaries, and at the last minute, steer them right into the Democratic Party. That's what they need. And for years, there was a big Hasan Piker to Midwestern Marx pipeline. I won't deny that. That was a real thing. But it was people that were willing to go beyond Hasan Piker, who were willing to actually dig deeper and to learn the theory and to learn about revolutionary politics versus reformist politics. And so I didn't attack him that much for years. He wasn't really on my radar either. I was like, oh, whatever, cool. This guy's feeding us new fans. You know, he's kind of introducing them to socialism, and then we're educating them on socialism. But now, because of the things that you just described and what we're seeing with him being pushed by the media, I'm like, oh, now I see exactly what this guy is. He's, you know, a stopgap to you know, pretend to be a radical, to give the aesthetic of radicalism. But then at the last second, he's steering people into what is literally a fascist party, as Carlos explained earlier in the stream.
Look, he's there like he's less of a pipeline or a funnel and more of a net to catch him there, right? But the real reason he's there is not just to push people into the Democrats. Yes, that's the goal, but it's to push people into the Democrats while still feeling morally correct, still feeling like they're not liberals. Like they can say, oh no, we're on the left. We hate the Democrats. They're just not as bad as the Republicans. The Democratic Party don't care what they feel about it. They just care about those votes and that implicit support of their genocide, right? And secondarily, if any of the leadership ever takes a picture like that one that you had, not the one up now, but the one before it, remove us from our office immediately.
Yeah, we have it on the party platform that if you're a man, you can't show knees unless you're like bowling or at the beach or something. But you know, one of the things we've talked about before when we've joined the show, Nick, is the creation of a compatible left, the role of the Congress for Cultural Freedom. And one of the things they emphasized was, look, we're going to make a left that criticizes capitalism, but that rejects all of the real world alternatives to that, right? And therefore, we're going to funnel them into this sort of controlled pocket. That's the compatible left. I call it a controlled form of counter-hegemony. They pretend to be against the hegemony, but they're really a controlled version that folds people back in. Why is that necessary? It's because people are dissenting. People realize their lives are getting worse and worse. They don't trust the established order. So if you're the established order, you need that instead of those people going to real communists, they go to communist, quote unquote, that you're going to prop up, that catch them and prevent them from going to the places where people are actually getting organized. And one of the things that has happened with that strategy of left anti-communism is that at some point they realized, you know what, it's kind of safe if the people that are doing this job for us have somewhat correct ideas about foreign policy. The key issue is always foreign policy, right? Are you going to stand with U.S. imperialism or with the socialist states or other anti-imperialist states? Hasan says he's sympathetic to the DPRK, at times to China. The only exception is Russia. To Hamas even, right? To the Axis of Resistance. But is it enough to have right ideas? And it's not. It's not enough to have right ideas. Right ideas are only dangerous when they're conjoined with an organization of disciplined people carrying out the sorts of acts that win more people over and that have a targeted direction against the system. And not only does Hasan not have anything near to an organization next to him, the closest thing he has towards him, next to him as an organization, is the DSA, which is an appendage not of a revolutionary organization, but of the establishment itself. So it's a way of using pretending to be communist at the level of ideas to funnel people at the level of the act into institutions of empire, which fundamentally leave nothing unchanged. On the contrary, they function to stabilize the order. They're not only a compatible left, they are a necessary left in order to protect the ruling institutions.
That was so well said, Carlos. I have a few more things to show you guys, because Hasan Piker's entire thing is to convince you that you have to distrust activists, be extremely skeptical of the activists, but trust institutional left forces. So it's okay to play video games with AOC. It's okay to do interviews with Matt Duss, where he makes the argument on why we should support the NATO proxy war. It's okay for him to do this. It's okay for him to be friends with Bernie and the institutional left, but he wants you to distrust RBN. He wants you to distrust the ACP. He hates anyone who is not a Democrat. He sniped at every single rising left force that is not tied to the Democratic Party. He attacked RBN. I'm gonna show you guys. He attacked us in our General Strike Summit when we only had 12,000 subscribers. Like, this is our first year. Like, the General Strike Summit was our rookie year, bro. We came out hot. We came out like LeBron during his rookie year. We came out with a General Strike Summit, and we were smeared by Hasan Piker in our rookie year. That's how much influence we was having as rookies. So
that is so suspicious, though, Nick. The fact that you only had 12,000 subscribers at the time, you should be below his notice so far. Yep, he shouldn't be noticing you yet. Look, I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat for a minute. I swear this guy has a team behind him looking for people that could ever present a real challenge. And those are the people, and he'll just offhandedly toss out lies to get his audience to dismiss them. That's what he did to us. He said we were like a cryptocurrency scam or some other crazy nonsense that makes no sense. So go
ahead. Continue. No, continue. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to wrap up that when there's smoke, there is almost always fire. And there's just way too much smoke around this guy for him to just be on the level. He got there because he's good and appealing to people, you know?
So let me show you guys this. Hasan Piker wants you to distrust Jill Stein. He told you, I don't trust Jill Stein. She don't run as a Democrat. Well, he didn't say that, but that's why he attacked her. He was given the order, and he repeated the same script that everyone else said. At the same script. What did Jill Stein do outside of election years? The same lazy fucking script. And as he telling people to distrust RBN, he telling people to distrust ACP, he telling people to distrust Julian Assange. He had Matt Duss on his show to make the argument on why we should support the Ukraine proxy war. You remember what I just covered in my hotspot, where they're sending pregnant women out to fight in war? That's what Matt Duss and Hasan Piker support.
However, the way that I approached it as a progressive, who believes in people's rights to defend themselves, people's rights to independence, in international law, and the right of countries not to be invaded by their more powerful neighbors is a pretty foundational idea in international law. I mean, I saw a set of principles and values that were being upheld by a policy of the U.S. government, even if.
So you guys see what Hasan Piker is here to do? Hasan Piker is here to bring on neocons to sell war. He brought on a neocon to sell the Ukraine war, and he is completely full of shit. Did Hasan Piker call out his hypocrisy on how he supports Ukraine fighting Russia, but he condemns Hamas? This is what the squirrel brought up. He gives thumb bath interviews to people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Matt Duss, and never in a million years questions them on why they support the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Matt Duss has condemned Hamas multiple times. And the Zay Squirrel, she posts all the receipts of Matt Duss. Condemning the Palestinian resistance. So he supports the Ukrainian resistance, condemned the Palestinian resistance, and Hasan Piker has zero pushback on that. Here's Matt Duss repeating the lie that Hamas engaged in mass rape. I'll read the middle one here. Denying rape and sexual violence that Hamas committed on October 7th is disgusting. This is the person that Hasan Piker brought on his show. And this is someone that Hasan Piker says that he likes. Someone who spreads the rape hoax that is used to justify the genocide of the Palestinian people. He brought on Matt Duss, who supports Israel's ethnic cleansing and genocide of the Palestinian people without any pushback.
Wasn't he just saying he supports people's right to not be invaded and all that? But I guess that doesn't count for Palestinians.
Nope.
I can't believe what he said on the bottom left there, that Israel's methods are not as extreme as Russia's.
Oh, let me find that one. Yeah.
In what world? In what universe?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what he says. That's the Matt Duss neocon Bernie Sanders position, is that, hey man, we gotta support Ukraine, but not Hamas, because Israel, they engage in the good kind of war. Russia engaged in the bad kind of war. This is the Hasan Piker left, guys. This is the person that he trusts.
Their bombs are woke, Nick. You just don't get it, man.
Now compare this. I know I'm trying to show as many clips as I can really fast. Just for a second time, I don't want to keep you guys too long tonight, but I want to do this roast completely. Compare Hasan Piker and how he absolutely refuses to hold the NATO left accountable for their support of the Ukraine war to how I grill Ro Khanna. Where Ro Khanna tried to bring that same bullshit up to me.
50% of all the
Here
food
it
going
is.
to Africa comes out of Ukraine.
So, Ro, is it about rare earth minerals? Is it about money, or is it actually caring about the Ukrainian people?
For me, it's about the principle of self-determination. I mean, that's what influenced me growing up, right? My grandfather.
You guys see how Ro Khanna and Matt Dutz and every single progressive have the same line? This is the State Department approved line for progressives whenever they are first talking about Ukraine. Hey guys, I support the left revolutionary idea of self-determination. But then you ask them about Hamas, which I'm going to do in this clip, and you're going to watch this house of cards completely fall apart. This fake bullshit. And Hasan Piker, who has access to all these politicians, would never did this and never will do this, because if he did this, he would not get a spot on the Rolling Stone magazine.
Because he's a social fucking fascist.
Feel free, Noah. Feel free. If you got feel free to chime in anytime, guys.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I apologize. He's just a social fascist. That's all he is. That's all he will ever be.
This is my favorite video ever.
Yes, it's good.
Good. I love that Ro Khanna agreed to do this, because in our short interview, I exposed how absolutely easy it is to expose all these progressive politicians. It is the majority report refused to do so. TYT and all these people who have access to these politicians, they refuse to do so. Do you think I'm thousands of times smarter than these people? I do think I'm smarter than these people. I'm not going to pretend to be humble. I'm definitely smarter than these people. But you think they don't have the ability to do what I'm doing here? Let me show the clip. I'm sorry. Is it about rare earth minerals? Is it about money, or is it actually caring about the Ukrainian people?
For me, it's about the principle of self-determination. I mean, that's what influenced me growing up, right? My grandfather's struggle against colonialism, with the belief that people should have the right to have self-determination of their nationhood. It's why I support a Palestinian state, self-determination for Palestinians. It's why I support a Jewish state of Israel.
Do you support Hamas and the right for Palestinians to engage in self-defense against Israel?
I don't support Hamas.
So you don't support. So Hamas is an organization with Palestinians, correct?
That pause, man.
I continue. Do you support Hamas and the right for Palestinians to engage in self-defense against Israel?
I don't support Hamas.
So you don't support. So Hamas is an organization with Palestinians, correct? Israel is illegally occupying Gaza and the West Bank and committing a genocide according to international courts. If anyone has the right to self-defense, it will be Palestinians, aka Hamas.
Well, look,
so how do you oppose that, but you want to wage war with Russia because the United States is in their backyard?
I come from a tradition of belief that nonviolence demonstration and the tradition of Gandhi or King is what's going to help.
Why not apply it to Ukraine? There was a peace deal on the table,
because that was an invasion of a sovereign state.
Israel's invading Palestine. But you see how easy it is? I'm not going to play the music because I don't want to get us in trouble. But you guys see how fucking easy it is to expose these people? He just refuses to when he has Matt Dutz on. But go ahead, panel, you guys can respond.
I just can't believe he did that interview. That was so great for me because Ro Khanna actually came to Dubuque when Carlos and I were organizing with Bernie and promised to be this anti-war guy, you know, and promised to be a real progressive, not like the war hawks in Washington. And now you see where he is talking about Israel's right to defend themselves and pushing the Ukraine proxy war. So I'm amazed that he even went on RBN. I'm sure he won't be back after he got cooked like that. But I mean, that's what happens when, you know, they run into somebody armed with the facts. That's why the media can't ask the tough questions, because they would fall apart like that. That was an excellent job. It
was easy too. Like I got another clip. Just for a second time, I'm gonna move on. But it was actually very easy. Like if you guys watch my dismantling of Ro Khanna, someone who's isn't he like Ivy League educated, some sort of educated, very smart guy, but I ran fucking circles around him. Like complete utter circles around Ro Khanna. Meanwhile, I'm a college dropout.
It brings up something you were
Some
talking
leftist
about.
shitposter.
It brings up something you were talking about a minute ago that like, and it's sort of a theme tonight. These people in these institutions are no smarter than you or me or anyone watching this. They are regular people, and in fact, a lot of the time, they're kind of dumb. They're not all that clever. If Ro Khanna was smart, he would never have gotten in the room with Nick, right? He would have had his people see what Nick could do to him, and he would have not have agreed to the interview. But he did, and it's literally that simple. None of these institutions have anything on you. I think we all have this ingrained sort of view that, oh, you go to an Ivy League school, you must be brilliant. No, all you did is get yourself in a lot of debt. That's it.
Or
He
you
was
had parents
probably
with connections and money. So
he probably also had a lot of like PMC arrogance, and he's like, yeah, there's no way this guy's gonna run circles around me, as he eventually did. But I want to just point out something real quick. They keep pointing to national self-determination, right? Because that you hear that as a leftist, and it makes you tingle a little bit, right? National self-determination. Damn, that shit sounds good as hell. That sounds pretty leftist. That sounds Leninist even. But remember that Woodrow Wilson was talking about national self-determination in the aftermath of the First World War. And what the fuck came out of that? He just gave a bunch of China to Japan. And that was national self-determination for him. You know, the Leninists have a very specific position on national self-determination, which is it the sort that helps the class struggle and the struggle against imperialism? Or is it the sort of national self-determination that's utilized in the form of a color revolution or of any other kind to advance the interests of empire? In China right now, they have a civilizational state by which they understand a state that's composed of many nations. If you show up in China and you're talking about national self-determination of all these different nations, you're an establishment hawk. You want to balkanize China. You want to divide it. You want to destroy it. So let's stop having that immediate reaction when we hear national self-determination, where we kind of tingle a little bit and we're like, man, that sounds leftist as hell. No, it could be used 100% in order to divide people up artificially. And that's what Nkrumah says. We want national self-determination for the Africans, so we're going to balkanize Africa and divide it so that they're weak and we can continue colonizing it. No, fuck that.
I decided because the way this conversation turned out, I do want to show you this because I want to show you guys the difference between like a educated, well-read Marxist and some asshole in Washington. And I will argue that Ro Khanna is among the smartest of the assholes in Washington. Out of everyone in Congress, I'll easily put Ro Khanna in top 3 in terms of people who get things right plus their intelligence. But he's still nowhere near us. But I still want to keep the focus on Hasan Piker because trust me, I'm not done with him yet. I still got something to show him. I'm explaining to you guys that Hasan Piker has these people on, and he refuses to do this. He refuses to hold their feet to the fire the way I do. And the reason why I want to show this clip here before I move on, because it shows the insane worldview that the progressives have, where they really believe that the United States is getting involved in other countries out of the kindness of their heart because they care about protecting people. And I want you guys to witness how I question him that exposes his unbelievably shallow beliefs. Let me play this.
Putin is on record saying that Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union. He wants to
bro, this is at the end of the day, this is irrelevant because do you believe that the United States is waging a proxy war in Ukraine because they actually care about the Ukrainian people and they're against the offensive aggression of states in general? We know that is not true. Because look at how the United States support Israel.
Let me ask you this: Do you believe that in the history of the United States there are times that we have played a just role in the world?
No. Do you understand how fucked your mind has to? I was literally I still remember to this day, like pausing for a second, like, did he just ask me that? Like, there's no way you just legitimately pose that question to me. But this is why people like Matt Duss and Ro Khanna are dangerous. This is what they legitimately believe. They legitimately believe that the United States plays a positive role to create peace in the world. They are all grown ass
history of the
children.
United States, there are times that we have played a just role in the world.
No.
What about
And-
taking
and
on Germany?
Why did we go to Korea,
What
bro?
about taking on Germany?
We
and
killed
Nazism?
2 million Koreans, bro. We
Yeah, but what
killed
about
2 million Koreans.
Let's just
We
start with
killed countless
Nazism.
Vietnamese people. That's
You-
an insane thing to say. And
But that was
we
shambles.
sanction 1/3 of the world's population. Do you believe we do that out of the kindness of our heart?
But certainly you would concede that World War II, America played a just and good role in the world.
Well, if they actually did care about justice, they would have stopped Hitler sooner instead of providing economic support. Remember, the United States did not enter World War II because of what happened in the Holocaust. We joined that war because of Pearl Harbor. So you guys, once again, I am a college dropout and I am revoking master's degrees. You guys see how the establishment history that they are taught is complete bullshit? But go ahead, guys. I'll open the panel. We can move on. I just want to show you because I think this fit in our conversation. Any response to this? But you guys see how they believe in a complete fake version of history. And I want to show you guys this because this video was criminally underrated. Because you would think that a prominent congressperson like Ro Khanna being effortlessly dismantled by some black college dropout would receive some news attention. You would think that, right? But you notice that Breaking Points, The Hill, TYT, you notice how nobody covered this interview? And you think, you guys don't, I noticed these kind of things. Think about all the channels who didn't cover this interview where I completely exposed a congressperson. You would think that would make news. It didn't because we are on a blacklist. And it's obvious. But go ahead, guys. Feel free to respond. I'll get back to Hasan Piker and why this connects.
That was such a perfect response that you gave there. That's what I was thinking in my head. I'm like, I hope he talks about U.S. funding and how they tried to appease the Nazis for years. And and that's what they try to do is they try to make every new U.S. regime change war World War II. And whatever leader the U.S. is going after, they're Hitler. And you have to, the way you deconstructed that there is perfect. Like, no, the U.S. funded Hitler's rise to power, appeased him. There were a bunch of fascist oligarchs in the U.S. who wanted to back him and join the Axis powers. And really, they only got involved to nuke their imperial rival in Japan. So, yeah, that was brilliant.
And I promise you, every single person on this panel could have did that. I'm not trying, I cannot emphasize enough how dumb these people are. All you have to do is read. All you have to do is understand the bullshit narratives that come out of the establishment. But they don't even know what I would even say in response to these questions. I know everything that Ro's going to say about Ukraine before he even say it. I know everything a Zionist is going to say before he say it. They are so misinformed. They don't even know the revolutionary position on these kind of things. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Noah, Carlos. I want to get you guys in here. I'll get back to Hasan here soon. I'm going to show you guys why this connects to that. But go ahead, Noah.
I just want to say, like, where we're from, you basically just took his PhD from him. You're Dr. Cruz now. Yeah, it's yours. He no longer owns it. Congratulations, Dr. Cruz.
What's Ro education level? I literally don't know. Is he Ivy School? But whatever it is, it's not impressive to me. It's not impressive. But go ahead, Noah.
No, I just said I assume he's got a doctorate. I don't know that actually.
I have no idea. Anyone in the comments? It's not that important. But these Ivy League people, these elite academia, yeah, Dr. Dick, I revoke doctorate degrees. That's what we do. I don't believe in elite. Working class revolutionary education is way superior than whatever you learn from Brown or Harvard. You know what I mean?
He got it from Chicago. Sorry, no, he got his bachelor's from Chicago and then got his PhD from Yale. So literally Scoop Central.
Give me that shit, bro. Give me that shit, bro. That's mine now. That's mine.
I wiped my ass with his Yale degree. It means nothing. If you look,
he's a hack.
In the future, like I think sometimes people mistake us for the Hasan Pikers and shit. So I want to reiterate something. We are here to tear the system where that dumbass is put in charge of things down. That system gone. You come in, and Haas was saying this the other day when we were doing our podcast. You come into the bar and you're waving around a degree, nobody cares. You are judged on the content of your character and what results you can get. That's the world we're building.
That's why we're blacklisted, guys, because they don't want their audience to be exposed to how shallow their intellectual actually is. Like they don't want like the way I go on the Hill and Robbie Suave and I dismantle him. We had a debate on communism. This motherfucker didn't last 15 minutes. I debated Destiny. He didn't last 20 minutes. He had a lot to say in the beginning. He was like, oh, I think we should wrap up now. he was literally begging for mercy. And you guys know I never get invited on these shows anymore. And I view it as a badge of honor because I'm like, bro, they're scared of me. Like, it's crazy. Like, you guys are scared of me? Like, you guys can't out-debate me? But despite all this, I'm going to show, we hinted at this. We're going back to Hasan Piker now because we've shown the difference. That's why I went a little bit longer than I planned, but I took that detour to show you guys the difference between me and him. How he will have someone like Rokan on. He will have someone like Matt Duss on. He will have AOC and them on and never, ever question them about the NATO proxy war. Not only will he not question them on the NATO proxy war, he will then prop them up. Remember, Hasan's entire thing is he wants you to distrust activists, and he wants you to trust and put all your faith into establishment institutions, which is why he attacked RBN, to show that with the kind of op that Hasan Piker is. This is why he is allowed to have magazine photo shoots on the Rolling Stone. Because this is when we did our General Strike Summit, where we had 12,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, way smaller than we are now. This was our rookie year. Our rookie year, we put in rookie LeBron numbers up. We pulled a General Strike Summit, and we started getting attacked by the entire progressive establishment. Vosh himself did a stream attacking us. There was a ton of other irrelevant, like we were trending Zoya. I know you remember this. Every single RBN member remember this because this was like a trauma imprinted in our brain when we was trending. You guys remember we got General Strike Summit trending for like a few hours. And because it was trending, every single person and their fucking mother had to chime in on this. And you want to know what Hasan Piker said about us? A group of revolutionaries who simply wanted to raise awareness over strike action? He smeared us and then stole our idea years later.
If the Fred Hampton leftists were actually principled Marxist, Leninist, Maoists, okay, with any sort of organizational capacity, and not a mishmash of different fucking weirdo cranks that have a very strange.
You guys see how Hasan Piker wants you to have maximum amount of distrust for ordinary black activists? You guys see how he wants to instill to his audience that you should not trust any person other than institutionalized forces. But sorry, you guys see, I get triggered just listen to this, but let me continue.
Fucking weirdo cranks that have a very strange perspective on American politics.
Hey, we are cranks, fam, who have a very weird perspective on American politics. You know that perspective where we want to organize outside of the Democratic Party? Hasan Piker views that as strange. When we said we want to organize a General Strike Summit, Hasan Piker was like, what? What kind of strange politics is this? General strikes? Now do you guys see why I don't trust this motherfucker? Yeah, it's a little personal. Yeah, it's a little personal. I'm not gonna lie. Because as we was growing the channel, we have the largest left streamer in the world trying to undercut us. It was this exact moment where we knew that we was on the right path. That we got to keep going because we got we had giant eyes on us in our rookie year. Nigga, the General Strike Summit was our first year as a channel. But anyway, let me continue. And I'll give you guys the afterward. Sorry, I keep interrupting it because it's very triggering to me to watch this.
With any sort of organizational capacity and not a mishmash of different fucking weirdo cranks that have a very strange perspective on American politics that is straight the fuck up the exact same kind of brain rot that the rest of these weirdos that we look at have, where they believe that the organizational power of working class will come from literally directly aligning with fascists.
I'm sorry. Anybody pick up on the fact that he just called a group of black activists dumb and weird? Because that's what I'm going to remember from that conversation. See, these are the little the racist dog whistles that we were telling you guys about.
So I just want to show you guys that clip. Any reactions? Because this is a guy that people think is legit. Go ahead, Eddie.
It's always based on fucking vibes with him. He's
Exactly.
more of like a cultural commentator than he, is a political streamer. He never talks about politics. He's like, those guys are weird. Those guys are weird and uncool because they're not in the Democratic Party. We're in the cool mainstream left. And he never makes a fucking point. He just calls all of his enemies weird or crypto scammers or some bullshit because he's such a fucking moron. I'm sorry. I watching that. I had never seen that clip.
To him,
even
we-
more than I did.
To him, we are strange, Nick, because what is normal to him is that left we were talking about earlier tonight that fucking failed, that left us with fucking nothing, so that we're not starting at 0, we're starting at like -10, and we got to pick up the pieces and get it together right now because of how bad it's getting, right? And so like when it doesn't do all the little dogmas and song and dance and all the PC language and everything that he's used to, it's strange, right?
But
well, maybe we need strange, Hasan, right? Maybe we need something a little different from your establishment bullshit and driving people into the arms of Democrats and Nazis.
Now you guys see why he's featured on the cover of Rolling Stone, because he attacks RBN, because he attacked the ACP, because he attacked Jill Stein. Remember when he said he doesn't trust Jill Stein? He trusts AOC, Matt Duss, and Bernie Sanders, but he doesn't trust us because he said we have weird politics. And you guys did great analysis on why he think that is. I think you guys hit the nail on the head, but I'm going to simplify it a bit. Do you think Hasan Piker will call us weird if we was a pro-Democrat channel? If we was propping up AOC and Bernie Sanders, do you think he would say we have weird politics? Because so you guys realize it's worse than you think it is. So he is an attack dog for the Democratic Party establishment, who's pretend to be a socialist, who pretend to support Palestinian issues, and then whenever he sees an uprising anti-duopoly force, he will attack it. The same way he's obsessed with attacking the ACP, he's obsessed with attacking Jimmy Dore, he's obsessed with attacking every single person who don't support the duopoly. But he's friends with Emma Vigeland, though. Even though Emma Vigeland supported Andrew Cuomo, she praised Andrew Cuomo, but you will never see Hasan Piker criticize her because it's class loyalty. And it's crazy that there's 1,000 clips like this of him being problematic, of him being an outward Democrat scum, but you have the entirety of the DSA. Remember that DSA line I showed you guys? This guy is fucking Beyonce in DSA. If he ever showed up to a DSA event, you would have DSA women pass out like he's Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? He's a rock star to them. What does that say about them? That they view this guy as a credible left voice. The establishment, boy, they are putting in massive work. The psyop that they're putting in to trick people and to funnel people back into the Democratic Party is out of this world, because I promise you guys, the reason why they're propping this man up is because he is their failsafe. He's going to be the guy who tells them to vote for the Democratic Party in 2028 the same way he did in 2020. Now, this is the last clip I showed, because I could show 1,000 clips, but we almost at 2 hours. I only planned 90 minutes. I appreciate you guys staying a little bit longer with me tonight, but I had to show this last clip. Because if you think I'm a hater, and I am a hater, because if you guys see that clip, you guys understand why I, out of everyone, have a just reason to be a hater of Hasan Piker, right? After seeing his smear. Remember, I had no idea who the fuck Hasan Piker was. I'm a fucking 30-year-old man. I don't watch these fucking Twitch himbos. I didn't know who the fuck this guy was. All of a sudden, I see this giant Twitch streamer attacking us. And then people are like, Nick, why do you go after Hasan? I don't know. I gotta fucking not only is it personal, I'm explaining why he is dangerous to the left. Because here is Hasan Piker attacking Julian Assange and his supporters. But you know why? Because the Julian Assange story was inconvenient towards Bernie Sanders. So people like Hasan Piker, whose job is to protect the Democratic Party establishment, they spent their time attacking Julian Assange because it made Bernie Sanders and AOC look bad. So for all the people who think I'm just a hater, that's true. But there's also this.
Bro, why are you not mentioning hero Julian Assange being extradited? What the fuck is wrong with you? Assange stands on the internet are some of the most psychotic weirdos that it's just like, just stop. Okay, just be normal. Just stop. Do your fucking weird thing at the Jimmy Dore stream. Okay, this is not the Jimmy Dore stream. We do a bunch of different content here. Go hang out with like weirdo fucking fascists. Okay.
All weird fascists. Look, fuck objectivity. We are haters. You're a hater. I'm a hater. We're haters. Marxism itself is hyper partisan. If you think you're objective, you are under so many delusions. It's not even funny. None of us are objective. We say who we are, though. That's the difference. Hasan Piker does not. He pretends he's just giving a laid back, cool guy vibe, like this is my opinion and analysis, man. But no, you see the actual content when you put it all together like this. He's just attacking anyone who will ever stand a chance at destroying the Democratic Party.
This man tried to tie Julian Assange to fascism, fam. Yeah. He tried to tie supporting Julian Assange to fascism. And you guys, he used the same script. How did Dr. Cornel West attack us at RBN? The Jimmy Dore lab to do. That was all the progressives say when they turn their brain off and they have nothing to say. They rely on the fact that many progressives don't like Jimmy Dore, and they immediately tie anyone who they have nothing to say to Jimmy Dore, and that is a technique they use to turn off the brain of their audience so they won't question anything else. So he calls Julian Assange supporters fascists and attacked Julian Assange supporters who won him the day. You guys know that Julian Assange supporters with their actions won. And he was attacking them. But sorry, Noah, I want to emphasize that point because you guys realize that he is tying people who resist the Democratic Party in the United States to fascism. To do what? To protect Bernie Sanders? Because remember, look at the question he got in the beginning. This is what triggered us.
Are you not mentioning?
He had someone in his own audience that was like, hey, bro, I think the Julian Assange issue is pretty important. Why are you not covering it?
Julian Assange being extradited?
Look, that's his own people. Even Hassan's own people was like, hey, man, you should cover this. And he was like, no, we are not serious over here. What we do is we help Democrats. We're not going to cover this. This is not the kind of content I cover. I'm going to do a video about Kanye West or Taylor Swift. That's the kind of shit we really want to cover. You guys see how people like this they are designed to create a dumb, inefficient left. Any other reactions to this video, guys? Sorry, Noah. Anything else you want to add?
I think Carlos had something he wanted to say, though.
Yeah, you've been talking about how one of the things that he promotes is distrust of people who are operating outside of the system that he's endorsing. And that works in tandem to what him and Ro Khanna were doing, which is promoting an acceptability presented in the veneer of having nuance and of being rational and objective, of trusting the U.S. empire sometimes. That is the perspective that we got from Ro Khanna. That is the perspective that Hasan Piker has, which is that, well, at some points in history, the U.S. has played a positive role. Therefore, it's not a fact that just because it is supporting Ukraine, we are on the wrong side of history. It's possible for the U.S. to be on the right side of history. And it's very interesting how, to go back to the Khanna clip, because I think there's a lot of overlaps here. He asked you, do you think the U.S. has ever been engaged in a positive war? Well, that's a weird fucking question, because it's asking you, do you think in 300 years there's ever been something this entity has done correctly? And what the fuck do you mean by that? I mean, we're talking about the present, and the real question should have been, do you think that in modern America there's ever been a war that the U.S. has engaged in that has been justified? And the question is, of course, no. Everything changes after World War II, where you have the propping up of the Bretton Woods system and where imperialism changes in form. No longer is imperialism just these different countries fighting against each other. Today, to talk about imperialism is to talk about U.S. hegemony. It's to talk about dollar hegemony. It's to talk about the American empire. There's no such fucking thing as Russian imperialism. There's no such fucking thing as Chinese imperialism. To talk about the imperialist system today in the Big 2-5, it's to talk about U.S. hegemony. It's to talk about U.S. unipolarity, U.S. imperial power. And to sit there and say, Well, has the US ever acted justly? That's like saying, has imperialism ever acted justly? Because to speak about imperialism today is to speak about the US and what it does abroad. That's all imperialism is today. It's the global financial institutions that the US controls, the IMF and the World Bank, and all of the military might that surrounds that and that allows it to do what it does. So to sit there as they do, has the US ever this? Even if you assume that the Second World War was a justified war, which there could be debates on that. I think the comments that you and Eddie made are, of course, right and important context to add. But even if you assume that, that is a world before the world we are in today. The world we are in today, US hegemonic power is what imperialism is. And by definition, let alone by the actual facts of the matter, there is no fucking possibility on this green earth that any action that the US takes could ever be considered justified. Because by de facto, the actions the US empire takes are imperialism.
Very well said, Carlos. You spin it, man. We can do a literal whole hour live stream about that alone. Maybe we will, man. We gotta do this. We gotta do this stream definitely again because there's so much to unpack here. I want to go back to this clip because there's one more thing I want to show you guys. We're almost done. It's gonna be a classic 2-hour stream, I guess. We almost done. I want to play this again because this is the attack on Julian Assange because I can't emphasize how fake this motherfucker is. Because here he is in this video I'm going to show again, where he is attacking Julian Assange and his supporters. This video is in 2021, right? This is where it seems like Julian Assange is screwed. And this is where he is given strong directions by the establishment to not support Julian Assange. So this is why this is...
Why are you not mentioning hero Julian Assange being extradited? What the fuck is wrong with you? Assange stands on the internet are some of the most psychotic weirdos that it's just like, just stop.
Once again, remember, the extreme distrust of activists. And this is a common theme with this guy and why he's dangerous. This is why he's the enemy of RBN. He wants you to trust AOC, distrust Julian Assange activists. Those are the bad guys, according to Hasan Piker fans.
Okay, just be normal. Just stop. Do your fucking weird thing at the Jimmy Dore stream. Okay, this is not the Jimmy Dore stream. We do a bunch of different content here. Go hang out with like weirdo fucking fascists. Okay, bro. Why are
So I'm sorry showing that more than once, but I found this in preparation to this stream, and I actually did not see this before. And I'm gonna show you this, and I have to end the stream with this to show you how fake this motherfucker is. This motherfucker is irredeemable because as Julian Assange was being locked up and tortured by the United States government, and when it was uncool, when it was hard to stand up for Julian Assange, he was attacking Julian and his supporters. But then the second that Julian Assange was released, the second that it became clear that my friend Misty Winston and all the brave Julian Assange supporters, all their years of fighting, all their years of struggle actually bear fruit. And once the Hasan Piker saw that one side was going to win, guess what this bandwagon, morally bankrupt asshole did?
in another set of fire good news, let's talk about WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who pled guilty to avoid additional prison time. He's free now. He's going to be free.
So now, after Julian Assange was free, after the activists did all the hard work, while he was smearing them, after Julian Assange was free, he then jumps on stream and pretends it's his victory.
When it no longer fucking matters. That's when he does it. It's like, that was when everybody criticized the Iraq war, right? When it no longer fucking mattered and they go, oh, it was a mistake. No, it was a fucking monstrous act. It was an unjust invasion of a sovereign country. It's the same exact thing.
It's what I've called. I wrote a whole article called "Hindsight Anti-Imperialism," and this is exactly it. When the war drums are beating, they're an imperialist, But afterwards, like, oh, that was so bad, they reject the wars in hindsight.
Watch, in a few years, I bet you Hasan Piker is going to be making videos like, man, I'll try to warn Matt Dust about the Ukraine war. Watch. In a few years, he's like, man, I told y'all that the support in the Ukraine war wasn't a good idea. This is what he does to rehabilitate his image all the time. Once he sees a issue win, he takes the side of it. Whenever there's struggle, he attacks it. This video is so shameless. This is what we're gonna end it on.
In another set of fire good news, let's talk about WikiLeaks found.
Now it's fire good news. Before, he had his audience begging him to cover it. Remember, his own audience was like, hey man, why are you not covering this very important issue? Now, then Julian Assange win. He's like, oh, base W victory for us. This guy is such a fake scumbag. It legitimately depresses me that there's anyone who follows this guy. The fact that he's the biggest leftist streamer in the world fills me with massive amount of nihilism at the state of the United States left, that anyone will fall for this asshole. Let's continue.
Julian Assange, who pled guilty to avoid additional prison time. He's free now. He's going to be free.
Julian Assange free this morning after the U.S. effectively gave up on a.
This is a good news after fucking good news day. Okay, it's
Fake
pretty
ass.
crazy. Julian Assange is free. The Dr. Disrespect stuff finally came out. Okay, and a lot of the grossest fucking losers online are basically revealing what their actual positions are on this matter and everything else.
You mean you? Like, can you imagine being fake? He's pretending that he was always on the side of Julian Assange. Can you imagine being this fucking fake?
Okay.
Zoya said earlier that
obviously,
he's
listen,
the
part of the
reason we
story
needed
that's really
gulags, and
interesting
she
is
ain't wrong.
Sorry, what was that?
Zoya earlier said that he's the reason we needed gulags. She was absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's listen. The last part I want to show you guys.
Okay. Obviously, part of the story that's really interesting is, bro, Assange was a scumbag. I don't give a shit, dude. You can't torture.
You guys see how he has people in his own audience that was like, hey, Hassan, I thought Julian Assange was a scumbag. You guys, and I'm sorry, I know I went a little bit longer, but I wanted to show that last part because look at how Hasan Piker programmed his fans for years. I'm gonna play that part one more time.
Okay. Obviously, part of the story that's really interesting is, bro, Assange was a scumbag. I don't give a shit, dude. You can't torture someone for being a fucking scumbag for 11 years or however long he's been unjustifiably imprisoned.
So why would someone in the Hassan audience message Hassan like, hey man, I thought Julian Assange was a scumbag? Because that is what Hasan Piker has been telling his audience for years before this. And then he turned around. Like, to me, I think this is one of the most damning things that shows how fake he is. But I'm a hard stop here because I know you guys get tired. Thank you guys for joining me for a 2-hour stream. I did not plan for go 2 hours, but hey, man, when RBN and Midwestern Marx come together, there are a lot of thoughts to be had. I'll pass to you guys for just one final thought. Anything you want to plug? Just because I want to. I'm sorry I kept you guys for so long. But any final thoughts that you guys have? Go ahead. I'll start with Eddie, and then we go around.
No worries. This was very fun. I was more than happy to go the whole 2 hours. But yeah, check us out at acp.us, midwesternmarx.com, and let's get organized and do what people like Hasan Piker are afraid to do, or even afraid that we're gonna do, and organize this country.
Very well said.
100% what Eddie said. I just want to add that real soon here, we're going to be doing the ACP fundraiser events, which we're going to have a lot of exciting stuff for y'all wrapped around that. So just stay tuned for it. You guys know where to find us.
And the last thing I would add, we can't dismantle the system and overcome it without understanding it systematically and develop a coherent critique of it so that we don't have good position here, bad position there. And the way to do that is through theory. You know, theory is not this highfalutin things for people with degrees in academics to get all jargony. It's important for us to understand how the fuck the world works so that we can try to change it. And we learn from people in the past who tried to do that in their respective countries. And the party has a theoretical journal called Red America that I run, that I'm very proud to run. It's featured some of the best communist theorists from around the world, from China, Cuba, Mexico. And if you want to be kept up on a monthly basis with some of the leading debates that Marxist scholars, communist scholars are having about how to change the world, how to dismantle imperialism, the importance of Marxist theory and all that good stuff, you can subscribe at Red America. ACP.us. It's a monthly journal. It's got the usual ACP for the people, for the working class prices, not the sort of shit that you have to pay out of an academic journal. It's going to have a lot better quality than any of the bullshit that you'd be finding in the academy. So thank you for
Except
having
for
us
my
on.
articles. They all suck.
Yeah, it's always great to have you guys on. We always do this every few months or so. We definitely got to do it more often. I'm a big supporter of Midwestern Marx, and I like the fact that there's an ACP that exists. I will never understand ACP derangement syndrome. Even if you have a disagreement with a member here or there, I will never understand why people will be upset at people organizing themselves against the Zionist entity and against capitalism. I will never in a million years understand that, which is why RBN is pro ACP. I'm pro anyone who's willing to challenge the establishment, period. And if you're not supporting the duopoly, if you're anti-capitalist, if you're anti-Zionist, you are ridiculous if you want to just cancel people. And that's why I don't trust people who do that. You know what I mean? I just don't trust them. I don't think they have our best interests at heart. So anyway, thank you guys for sticking around. I'm actually going to pop you guys out because I almost got super chats. I don't want to keep them too much long because I kept them 2 hours. So let me read super chats. I'm actually kind of tired of myself. You guys know I don't like being on camera full screen like that. So I'm going to read a few super chats before I leave. Almost forgot. I have to address this, but Hasan Piker isn't dangerous. Fred Hampton is dangerous. Leonard Peltier is dangerous. Assange is dangerous. Hasan Piker is a neutered man who isn't a threat to the ruling class. Very well said for Tuzo. Thank you for the $5, Joey. Zoe, do you want to help me with these? Anyway, I guess I can wrap it up. I would love to see Rome talk with Midwestern Marx in the future. You guys saw the stream that Rome did where he's building library. That's Rome's main focus. Like, Rome is the on the ground guy. He pops on YouTube every once in a while, but it annoys him. Like, that's not his thing. Everyone has a role in our movie. Like, Rome, he's focused on the library. That's got to be his focus. You see him pop in every once in a while. I'm going to visit him in the library here soon. I plan on making the trip to Michigan. I got family in Michigan, so I want to visit the library soon. What's popping? Zoya's love. Zoya's life. Want to help me close the show out?
You know I do.
What's popping, my friend? I love your comment when you said you had a Hasan Piker derangement. That shit was funny. I saw that. You guys see, I showed you guys that clip. I didn't see that. I saw that clip for the first time in years today, and I'm like, damn, I actually been going too easy on him. I forgot how maliciously he smeared us until I saw that clip earlier today. And
he's absolutely vile. He's the enemy of the working class, and I really miss the times when tarring and feathering politicians was just normal.
Yeah.
and we didn't let people like this get away with stuff and worry about being polite, because he says things that should get him knocked out.
I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. I chalk it as people being young and dumb. A lot of people say his audience are mostly teenagers. I hope that's true. I think it's a lot of cope, but I really do hope that's true. But I see the numbers this man put up. Obviously, he got stories. Like, he is doing an amazing job for the establishment, creating a dumb, inefficient left. So this time where we ignore these people, it has to end. Like, he's dangerous. He's extremely dangerous to revolutionary movements. You guys see the hostility he has towards us. But anyway, let me read some super chats. I'm tired. You're just here for my mental support. Thanks for $5. Every accusation is confession. Absolutely. At best, he doesn't see how weird, has a strange perspective, and is participating in a fast alliance at worst. And there's so many things I could break down with his insulting of us, but doesn't that show how much he despises like actual poor and working class people? Like, he obviously doesn't know me, like, personally. I'm obviously much smarter than him. And I don't even say that about a lot of people. I'm obviously much smarter than him. But what did it say about him? I won't even go the racist angle like Sabby did. But what did it say about how he viewed workers? That he immediately attacks them for their intelligence. That he calls them weird. If you don't have an LA mansion, he inherently think you're weird. Which is why if you're on the left and you watching the show, let's say you have Nick derangement syndrome. Let's say you one of the motherfuckers who, for whatever fucking reason, you hate RBN too, but you consider yourself a leftist. Why doesn't that turn you off? That's why the entire Hasan Piker thing makes no sense to me. Because let's say you're a young socialist and you listen to this motherfucker. How can you hear him trash a general strike summit and not immediately change your mind about him? These are the kind of things that like made me lose faith in the U.S. left. It shows how fucking weak we actually are, how unserious they are. I think this is responding to the poll. Zoe, do you have a poll? I didn't see the poll. I think he responded to the poll. Best way to dilute toxic ideas is to face. Oh no, I think I got that right. I put this one up before. Y'all need a regular show, like the post-duopoly show. We kind of do. We just don't got a schedule. If you guys know, I had Midwestern Marx on like once every 3 or 4 months. Maybe we should do it more often. I know they're busy. I like talking to anyone who Marxes. I don't like dragging people across the finish line. Like I'm always down to explain shit to people, but I'd rather much have Marxist motherfuckers on my show. But hey, that's what they are. That's what they are. I've been warning everyone about Hasan Piker for years. He's a transparent DNC operative. How can people think he's on the verge of revolutionary? I would never understand either, my brother. Solidarity super chat. Thank you. I want to make sure I read all these because we did get some good super chats today. I appreciate you guys. Liberals are still capitalists. Fuck capitalism. I'll show this one. I think we caught up. And this is an ACP member here as well. So thank you guys for watching. I'll be back on Friday with Jose Vega. We got Jose Vega joining us, who's running against Richie Torres. He's the homie. Like he's the one who started the trend recently of people aggressively calling out pro-Democrat politicians. So he's one of the people. I don't think Jose Vega even calls himself like a socialist, but I fuck with Jose Vega because this motherfucker engaged in revolutionary praxis the way he calls out the ruling class. So he joined us on Friday. Zoya, any last word, anything you want to add before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just real quick, the results of the poll. So the poll question was, should we talk to working class people even if they hold toxic beliefs or strong disagreements? And 93% said yes, and 6% said no. So most people are normal and agree with us that talking to workers is a good thing, even if they aren't where we are, because we weren't where we are at some point and other people talked to us and brought us along. So it's totally an online clicky bullying tactic to try to silence people, to shame people when they talk to other workers. We should absolutely be organizing with everyone who wants to organize against the ruling class. We don't need a million purity tests or litmus tests. And I say this with my full heart and chest. Fuck Hasan Piker. I have myself, I'm being triggered because even before he attacked RBN for a general strike summit, he attacked activists and organizers for the Medicare March for Medicare for All. And I was just an activist at the time, and he attacked me and tons of people. We have like really small online presence. Like, I don't know how he even found out about us or RBN when it had 12,000 followers. I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't feel organic. It feels like these people are definitely there. The moment they see some energy moving in a logical, critical direction against tactics that simply have never delivered any material change for us, they are immediately there to smear us. And notice his criticisms were never substantive. They started talking about credentials and all these things, just try to gatekeep, but they can never defeat our points that doing the same thing over and over again has never helped us. And that's why they're afraid of us. So don't ever let these elitist, millionaire, gatekeeping, sellout motherfuckers stop you from reaching out to people and forming common ground, common interests, and organizing for the liberation of the working class.
Zoya's love, Zoya's life. This is why I call her the GOAT, my friends. I can't follow that, so I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you guys for watching this RBN Midwestern Marx super stream. I have my friend Jose Vega, who's running against Richie Torres, joining me on Friday. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Banger after banger. Have a good night, my friends.